Good morning, students. Again I am back here. So in previous lecture you all have learned history chapter, right? Nazism and the rise of Hitler. I hope you all understand the chapter. Okay. So in this lecture we will start political science. And here is the cover page of your political book, and your political book name is Democratic Politics First. In this book total chapters are 6. But first chapter, democracy in the contemporary world, it's not a part of curriculum. So today we will start with the second chapter, and your chapter name is what is democracy, why democracy. So let's start. Okay, students, I think you all have heard today how government in some countries changed from one form to another. And do you know, most of the countries adopted democracy today. The reason is because today democracy is the most popular form of the government. So this is the first big question that we take up in this chapter. What is democracy and what are its features? So this chapter built on a simple definition of democracy. So step by step we just work out the meaning of the term that we used in this chapter. So after going through this chapter, we should be able to distinguish a democratic form of government or from a non-democratic form of government, right? So you all have seen like democracy is the most popular form of the government in the world today, and it is expanding in more countries. So now just tell me, students, why is it so and what makes it better than the other form of government? So this is the second big question that we take up in this chapter. So in this video we will cover these topics. First one is, where did the democracy word originate? Second, what is democracy, meaning and definition? And next one is the features of democracy. So let's start with the first, from where the word democracy derived. But before that, let's understand the term democracy first appeared in Athens. Athens, the capital city of Greece. And the term democracy first appeared in Athens in 7th century. In 7th century, right? So first this term democracy appeared in Athens. And from where the word democracy derived? Definitely it's derived from the Greek word demos and the kratia. Demos means people and the kratia means power or rule. That means democracy refers to the rule of people, right? Okay. Now let's understand the meaning of democracy. So, like Abraham Lincoln said that democracy is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. So here we could start with a simple definition of democracy. Democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. But this definition does not give us a complete idea of democracy. So here we have take some key points from this, and then we are going to find out the important features of democracy. So these are the key points which we have taken from this definition. Who are the rulers? What kind the election constitute a democratic election? Who are the people? What kind of a form of government a democracy? Now the definition of democracy. So a system of rule based upon government of the people and for the people. So of the people, that means elected politicians pass laws that the people obey, right? By the people, everyone, that means regardless of race, gender, etc., should be allowed to stand for election. For the people, elected politicians should govern on behalf of the people, right? So democracy means, basically democracy is the form of government from rulers and the leaders elected by the people, right? Okay. Now types of government. So basically there are two types of government. First one is the democratic, and the second one is the non-democratic. So in democratic form of government, we just found that rulers or leaders are elected by people, right? And non-democratic government, in non-democratic type of government, we just found that rulers or leaders not sorry rulers and leaders are not elected by people. Like monarchy and dictatorships are the examples of non-democratic government. So what is difference between democratic and non-democratic? In democratic government, rulers and leaders elected by people, and in non-democratic government, rulers and leaders are not elected by people. Now move on to the next topic, features of democracy. So first feature is, in a democracy, the final decisions making power must rest with those who elected by the people. So yes, decisions making power with the people's representatives. This is the basic principle of democracy. In India or in any democratic country, the final decisions making power is with the parliament, whose members are directly elected by the people. Second point, a democracy must be based on free and fair election. Yes, a democracy must be based on free and fair election, where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. Like in India, we have Election Commission, an independent body for conducting election regularly after every 5 years. So due to this, the party which is in power has a fair chance of losing. Next, in a democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote have one value. Like in India or any democratic country, all the adult citizens have one vote and each vote has one value. Next feature of democracy, a democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' right. Next feature, opposition parties are allowed to function freely before and after the election. And the last, the democratic government are based on fundamental principles of political equality. So these are the important features of democracy. In this video, we will also discuss the case study of Pakistan, China, Mexico, Zimbabwe, Saudi Arabia, Estonia, Fiji to understand these key points. So let us consider each of these key points with the help of the example, right? So here I am going to first take first key point, who are the rulers. Basically, in democratic country, major decisions taken by the rulers or the leaders. So to understand this point, let's take an example of Pakistan. So, in Pakistan, General Pervez Musharraf. Who was he? General Pervez Musharraf. Basically, he was Pakistani politician and he was the 10th president of Pakistan from 2001 until to 2008. So in Pakistan, General Pervez Musharraf, he just led a military coup. Military coup, basically when democratically elected government overthrown by the military or army, it's called military coup. Understand? What is military coup? When democratically elected government overthrown by the military or army, it's called military coup. So General Pervez Musharraf, he just led a military coup in October 1999. Then after that, he just overthrew the democratically elected government. So first understand democratic elected government. Basically, before this military coup in Pakistan, where rulers and leaders in Pakistan, rulers and leaders were elected by the people, right? But when he just led the military coup over the Pakistan, he just overthrew the democratically elected government and he declared himself chief executive of the country, right? Then in 2002, he just changed his designation to the president. After that, then he held a referendum in Pakistan in 2002. Referendum, basically it's a direct vote or we can say the general vote, in which they just asked electorate either they accept or reject the proposal. So this referendum basically gave him 5-year extension period. But according to the report of media, human rights organization and democratic activists said that this referendum was based on malpractice and fraud. Then in August 2002, he issued in Pakistan legal framework order, amended the constitution of Pakistan, and according to this order, that means legal framework order, according to this order, now president, that means General Pervez Musharraf, can dismiss the national or the provincial assemblies. Basically after this he just started taking all the power of president. Now the work of civilian cabinet is supervised by National Security Council dominated by military officers. Now after passing this law, elections were held there for the national and state assemblies. The elected representative have some power. That means at that time in Pakistan, elections were held there. Representatives were also elected, but these representatives have only some powers, because the final power rests with military officers and General Pervez Musharraf. So clearly there are many reasons why Pakistan under General Pervez Musharraf should not be called democracy. Why? Because in Pakistan at that time, people elect their representative. These representatives are not the real rulers. These representatives cannot take the final decision. The final decisions only taken by the military officers or the General Pervez Musharraf. So here we can say that this cannot be called people's rule. So here we got the first feature of democracy. In democratic government, major decisions taken by the elected leaders. Clear? So this is the first feature of democracy, and we can say that in Pakistan at that time the major decisions taken by only those who were not elected by the people. This example gave us the first feature of democracy. In democratic country, major decisions taken by the elected leaders, and these leaders elected by the people. Clear? Okay. Now let's take a second point. What kind the elections constitute a democratic election? So to understand this point, this key point, let's take a example of China first. Right? So in China, basically elections are regularly held after every 5 years, as same as India. Like in India, elections are regularly held after every 5 years. So in China also elections are regularly held after every 5 years for electing the country's parliament. So the name of the parliament is Quango Renmin Dabio Dagwi. Right? The Chinese parliament is called Quango Renmin Dabio Dagwi, or we can say National People's Congress. Clear? So National People Congress basically have the power to appoint the president in China at that time. So at that time, nearly 3,000 people elected from all over the China, and some members are elected by the army. But before contesting the election, candidates in China needs the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. Chinese Communist Party basically the political party of China at that time. So it means no independent members can stand in election. Only those who member in Communist Party or 8 smaller parties aligned to it were allowed to contest election held in 2002 to 2003. That means no independent members can stand in election if he wanted to stand in election, so first he or she need approval of the Chinese Communist Party. So that's why at that time in China, the government is always formed by the Communist Party. The reason is because all the members are from the Communist Party. Okay, let's take one more example to understand this point. So here I am going to take the example of Mexico, right? So in Mexico, since its independence, that means in 1930, Mexico hold election after every 6 years to elect its its president. But the country has never been under military rule or dictator rule. But until 2000, all elections was won by a party called PRI. PRI means Institutional Revolutionary Party. Clear? Until 2000, all elections in Mexico was won by a single party called PRI. Opposition parties also contest election at that time, but they never win the election. So the question is कि why opposition party or other party they never managed to win the election? So the answer is at that time the PRI, the Party of Mexico, used many dirty tricks to win the election. So what kind of tricks they used? First, all those who employed in government office had to attend its party meeting. So in that party, the party members they blackmailing them. Teachers of government school forced parents to vote only for PRI party. Media ignored the activities of opposition party except to criticize them. That means at that time media is also in the hand of PRI. Sometimes the polling booth was shifted from one place to another in the last minute, which made difficult to the people cast their vote. And the last most important, the PRA spent a large sum of money in the campaigning for its candidate. So basically these are the reason, that's why the other parties at that time in China never managed to win. So should we consider the election described above as example, like in China and Mexico? In China and Mexico, people really electing their rulers? No. There are many problems here. Like in China, elections were held there. But in China, the elections do not offer the people any serious choice. I mean, they have to choose the ruling party and the candidates, but approved by it. So can we call this a choice? No. Now next example is the Mexican example. So in the Mexican example, people seemed to really have a choice, but in practice they had no choice. There was no way the ruling party could be defeated even if people were against it, and these are not fair elections. So this we can thus add a second feature to understanding of democracy, because holding elections of any kind it's not sufficient. So, and it should be possible for people to use this choice to remove the existing ruler if they wish so. So, a democracy must be based on free and fair elections where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. So these two examples of China and Pakistan give us the second important feature of democracy. Election should be free and fair. I hope you understand these 2 points. Okay. Rest of the points we will discuss in a next video. Now move on to the home assignments, right? Let's see. First question, which is the most common form of democracy and why is this form of democracy necessary? So, the most common form of democracy is a representative democracy. First, like modern democracy involved such a large number of people that is physically impossible for them to sit together and take a collective decision. Even if they could, so the citizen does not have the time, the desire or the skills to take part in all the decisions. Second question is, distinguish between democratic and non-democratic elections. So basically, in under democratic elections, all citizens have one vote with equal value. And in non-democratic, under this, all citizens are not given right to vote. In democratic, elections are held at regular intervals. And in non-democratic, elections are not held at regular intervals. In democratic, free and fair elections are conducted. In non-democratic, free and fair elections are not conducted. Now the next question is, in China, basically, elections are regularly held after 5 years for electing the country's parliament. Still, it cannot be called a democratic country. Why? Give reasons. Elections in China do not represent people's verdict. Analyze the statement. So yes, in China, elections are regularly held after every 5 years for electing the country's parliament, called Quango Renmin Dahui, National People's Congress. So NPC has the power to appoint the president of the country, and so nearly 3,000 members elected from all over the China, and some were elected by the army. But before contesting election, every individual candidate, independent candidates, need the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. So only those who are the member of Chinese Communist Party or the 8 small parties aligned were allowed to contest election held in 2002 to 2003. So always government is always formed by the Communist Party. So that's why we can say that China, it's not a democratic country. Now the next question is, how elections in India are different than the Mexico. So basically, first one is, both the countries have a multi-party system. In case of India, political parties in power often lose elections, whereas in case of Mexico, PRI, that means the Institutional Revolutionary Party, did not lose a single election for more than 70 years in Mexico. Second, elections in India are held after every 5 years, whereas in case of Mexico, elections are held after 6 years. Next difference, government officials work under the election commission during the elections days, but whereas this is not true for Mexico. So this is the difference between the India and the Mexico's elections. Now the next question is, what is the significance of rule of law and respect for rights in a democratic country? So the first one is, democracy in democratic country, decisions making power with the people's representative. Second one is the free and fair elections. Third one is the one person, one vote and one value. And fourth one is the rule of law and respect for rights. Right? So rest of the topics we will cover in the next video. So now what you have to do, you have to just write down these question answers in your notebook and make your notes for your self-study. Thank you. Have a nice day.